So currently I'm working on too many videos at once, my editor subscription is counting down the days, everything is just wild. Except for the new Caves and Cliffs update that just dropped. Welcome back to my channel, the only place on YouTube that is inconsistent. And if you guys end up enjoying today's video, make sure to leave a like on your way out and maybe consider supporting me by tapping that subscribe button. Anyways, without further ado, enjoy today's cave transformation. Now a little disclaimer is that today's video will be in 100-day style. So the new cave update just came out a few days ago and I wanted to see the new caves for myself. So I figured why not just dig straight down until I found a cave. Now before I spoil any of the current videos I'm working on, I need to say that I actually planned out what I'm going to be doing for this cave transformation. Just so this video is not a mess. Now just like always, we had to feed Puff before we were on our way out. Now it was time to plan out exactly everything I was going to need in order to build this. I made sure to bring items beyond what I just needed to build. So items like totems, gapples, iron, things like that. Now once I had all the basic items I would need, it was time to find a spot to explore, which is why my house that still is not finished after over 700 days is a perfect candidate. And since I was still working on my underground lab, I thought to make an entranceway down to the cave. If there even was a cave below my house. I hit my first blocks of deep slate and soon after I fell into some cave tunnels where I would eventually find an amethyst geode. And now that I have an easy access to geodes, I don't have to use portals to generate new chunks. A little more mining later and I fell into what seemed like a creeper man cave. Now this was definitely a real cave, but the amount of mobs that spawned was terrifying. But I had no issue dealing with them. I felt like that I was kind of cheating my way to the new look of the caves with Fulbright on, so I turned it off and just wow, I was not expecting so much emptiness and darkness. Since the new cave update changed the way mobs spawn in the dark, I didn't need to get as many torches as I would usually have to need. A little bit of mob killing, torch placing, and cave exploration later, it was time that I took the time to look at what I was working with. While going through tunnels in different cave systems, I eventually came to a stop at a cave that took my attention. It looked amazing, so I kept it in mind for the time being. I eventually decided to build in the cave I had kept in mind, so I began thinking of cave designs that I could make. I tried googling cave bases to get some inspiration, but I found nothing that I liked too much. So I just decided to go with whatever happens. I was running pretty low on wood, so I made my way over to the forest to gather wood. I also made a buttload of TNT just in case I needed it to clear some area. I gathered other materials that I knew I would use just so I didn't have to keep coming up to get more. After that, I began digging the hole bigger so it would be easier to get in and out. There was a really cool overhang above the lava pool that I wanted to add something to, so I grabbed my scaffolding and began building big chains to give it that grim feeling. After doing the first chain, I thought it would add to the feeling if I made the outline of the lava pool magma blocks almost as if it was being melted away. It took a good while to figure out what I was going to build, but I eventually came to a conclusion and just started building. The staircase I was making wasn't too much of the cave, but as of now it was looking crazy good and made me keep going. It looked great up close, but when you looked at it from a distance, you can tell it needed some thickness and more variety. So that's what I began doing. I added more blocks to the bottom of it and made a fence out of spruce logs. Now I began digging out my first room. I still have no idea what I'm going to do with it, but it has a nice dome shape to it. I knew from the start that the cave couldn't just be all dark and grim, so I went back up to get some green going. This isn't too important, but the feeling I have while walking up those steps just feels so alive and earthy. Anyways, I had a few slabs left over, so I used it to make a bridge over to another amethyst geode I found in this cave. Afterwards, I placed blotches of leaves and it really made everything look 2 times better, maybe even 3. Since that one room was looking really empty and boring, I added some support beams to hold up the stone from collapsing. Just for design, obviously. Once again, I added some more green, replaced some blocks, and everything was coming together perfectly. I came back over to the geode not only to finish the bridge, but to see what I was working with inside this geode. Let me tell you, this geode was a lot bigger than I expected. And not only that, almost all the crystals inside were fully grown. Now since I'm a pretty big fan of vegetation, I thought it would be pretty awesome to add my own mushrooms inside of the cave. So I made my way over to the dark oak forest and began chopping some shrooms. Once I came back, I had some glowberries that I wanted to put to use. So I began placing vines of glowberries all over the ceiling of the cave. With the glowberries, I had some extra pointed dripstone blocks that I thought would look nice on both the ground and the ceiling. Now while looking around the cave and trying to figure out what is missing, I saw a spot that could be filled in. So I began making some simple terrain that would eventually become a small crop circle. I surrounded the land with a custom fence and soon after began filling in the crops. Now is the time to finally make the cave more lush. Get it? Lush cave? Yeah, okay. I placed a moss block into the stone and bone mealed it so it would spread. I didn't even need to place any more moss. All I had to do was bone meal everything so it could spread. Now the cave was looking a little too green, so I began building mushrooms to equal out the variety of the cave. The first mushroom came out pretty great, making it feel like it belongs there. I also scattered them in some of the darker areas since mushrooms tend to like the darkness. I did some more moss spreading since half of one side was stone and half of the other side was moss, and it just didn't look right. After the second time, I could really begin to see where I wanted this project to go. I had many ideas in mind that I wanted to add but just couldn't. I also want some more input from the comments, so if you guys have any ideas of what I should do, please tell me. Now I began building a background house for the cave. So it has no function, it is simply just there for the looks. It was a very simple house design, but after it was built, I feel like I could say it fits way better than I thought it would. The area with all the moss needed to be filled up, so I began building a walking path that I still have no idea where it should go. After building the second mushroom, I took a look at everything I built to see how the progress was going. If I were to tell you how I thought it would look, it wouldn't have been this. In fact, I thought it would look way worse than this, a whole lot worse. The bottom towards the lava pool was looking heavily empty, so I went back down and added some more chains. I also didn't even notice that all of the chains were made out of blackstone until I began adding more chains, so I went back and put some more variety into making some out of normal stone bricks. Now I began building spiral staircases around the pillars that connected from the floor to the ceiling. There's nothing significant about it besides the fact that it's just there for decoration. After the first one was done, I started to work on the second one, but this time it would actually lead to something. After I made the shape, I filled it in and then made a custom fence once again around the perimeter. Also, if any of you were wondering the amount of days I've spent on this world, I have spent around 761 days in hardcore Minecraft. And it wouldn't have happened without all of you. And since the video is coming to an end sooner than I thought it would, I'm going to take this time to thank all of you for watching and supporting me. And of course, I would really appreciate it more than you think if you took the time to subscribe. Anyways, back to the video. So far, everything that I have done to this cave has very much satisfied me, and there isn't really much left to do. I did add more vegetation, more mushrooms scattered around the cave, wood, and details, but that was all that I thought was needed. And to pretty much finish everything off, I added some barrels to the second floor I made. Now looking at this cave transformation has really made me want to continue, but if you guys want to see that, you'll have to give me 3 likes in return. I think it came out pretty amazing, but you guys let me know. But yeah, this video was quite a short one, but a great way to be introduced into the new update. If you guys have any ideas, suggestions, or thoughts about what I should add or change, please let me know in the comments and I will be sure to read them. If you enjoyed the video, why not support my channel and help me grow by softly tapping that subscribe button and the bell notice so you don't miss an upload. But anyways, I'll see you guys in the next one. Later.